Good evening and warm welcome to all the participants. We are thrilled by the presence of Mr. Naga Prakasam. Good evening, sir, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for this session. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the session number 206 on WiseViews platform, and we'll straight away jump into the session. I'll do a brief introduction. Allow me to share my screen, please. As I mentioned, this is the session number 206 on WiseViews Leadership Conversations, which we hold every Friday. And today we have Mr. Naga Prakasam. He's going to speak on Back to Bharat in Search of a Sustainable Future, where this is also the title of his book. And we are going to discuss on this very topic. Thank you, sir. And this introduction, followed by the opening remarks of Mr. Naga Prakasam, will be for about 25 minutes or so. After that, we'll have roughly about 40 minutes of Q&A. Let me take this opportunity to introduce Mr. Naga Prakasam. He's a versatile and passionate leader with more than 3 decades of global experience. Part of it, of course, in the USA and rest in India. He retired at 41, enjoys as a farmer who is growing startups across the country. Being a lead angel investor, invested in 33 startups in 65 plus rounds, led 16 deals in which Unifor become unicorn with 120x return, served 12 boards. Very impressive, sir. Author of Back to Bharat in Search of a Sustainable Future, which is the title of the conversation today as well. The addresses the present economic dilemma for Indian entrepreneurs and consumers, looking at the past and present situation of both India and the developed world to find a way forward. Very, very relevant. B2B received the prestigious GLF WWF Honors Book Award 2024 at the Green Literature Festival. He spearheaded impact thinking in Indian Angel Network and co-founded IAN Impact. His personal mantra is startups should focus on India's strength. That is people, problems, and tech. That is PPT for short, as coined by him. Led Unifor that was rejected by 25 investors, served its board 6 years with his angel touch. Today, it has achieved $2.5 billion valuation, giving 120x return. And that's amazing. Advisor partner at Acumen, New York-based $100 million impact venture fund. And of course, he served as an independent director in one of its portfolio companies, Guardian, a microfinance venture. So pretty impressive experience and exposure from the speaker. He is an avid traveler and orator, as well known. Some of you would have already Googled his profile. We'll now request our esteemed speaker to start the conversation. Much before that, I also would like to mention that my senior colleague, Dr. R. Prasad, who has joined, he brings about 3 decades of rich experience to the table. He was an entrepreneur, a corporate professional, and now an academic at ICFAI. Welcome, Dr. Prasad, to this conversation. And now we are all ears, and I request Mr. Naga Prakasam to give his overview on the topic. Over to you, sir. Once again, thank you so much.
Great. Yeah, glad to be here. Good evening, everyone. Very happy Independence Day. So as we enter, almost 8 decades of free country, this is very interesting for us to start looking at this topic about the Back to Bharat. So the word Bharat has nothing to do with the political debate that's going on with people, India, Bharat, and all that stuff. So my definition of Bharat is about the billion people that we ignore. So we are 1.5 billion. So the 500 million is what we talk about a lot. These 500 million has a disposable income, and they speak English, and they have a proper internet access. So most of the discussion today happening in the country is around this 500 million. This is 1 billion, 100 crore people have been ignored. So that's why most of the time I have my sessions as ignoring the billion. So that is the one Bharat of the Back to Bharat that I mentioned here. The another Bharat is about the idea of a book came. I'm sure some of you might have heard this place called Kapad. Right? Kapad is known for very, very historical reasons because I do a lot of field visits. I've been to around 28 states across the country because I don't believe in PowerPoint. I have to see the problem on the hand, first hand, and also I want to interact with the people who are solving the problem as well. So I was on my way to visit an entrepreneur in area code in Kerala. So Kapad is near Kozhikode. What is the importance of Kapad? That's where Vasco da Gama landed. So I saw the stone there which said, Vasco da Gama landed here in 1498. Imagine, right? The world where no internet, no telephone, no Instagram, reels, where people have figured out the glory of India. They risked their life thousands of miles and figuring out the way to the place India, and they just came for just a simple pepper. So the pepper attracted them towards this glory. So imagine that was another part of the Bharat is, right? Till the 1700s, India's contribution to the world GDP is 23%. And that was a thought, right? Can we go back to the Bharat? That's where the word back to Bharat about. And the second part is about today the world has two problems, right? One is climate change and inequality. So very, very interesting problem because for once, the whole world is having this problem, not just India or first world or second world or third world, all the worlds having the same problem. Because earlier there'll be one world has some problem and the other world does not care. But today everyone has the same problem. From US to Africa, everyone is facing the problem of climate change and inequality. We saw the Texas fire, I mean, the flooding happened recently, and the same thing happening in Uttarakhand, right? And similarly, if you look at in US, in their own standard, 16% of the people of US in falling in poverty. We have a similar number in extreme poverty, the bottom of the economic pyramid in India as well. So this is what the challenge and also an advantage when every world is looking at the problem. Can we go back to the Bharat, right? The billion people, can they give a solution to this problem? So that is what my journey started in understanding this climate change and inequality, how the world is facing the problem, where could be the solutions. And the Bharat, the billion, can provide solution or not, right? So that is why in one of my trip, I was in Meghalaya. There's a place called East Garo Hills. And what is interesting about the East Garo Hills is that they still follow what we call matriarchal society. So what does that mean? Today, if you see that a boy get married into the girl's house, right? That is patriarchal society. But in the matriarchal society, the boy get married into the girl's house. So he goes into the girl's house. He lives there. And the head of the first daughter of the family is responsible for the family matters. The last daughter of the family inherits the property. The head of the village is a woman as well. It's completely women driven. That's what matriarchal society. Today we have SDG goals. We all know about SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, and it's created by UN to make sure that the world is building a sustainable future. Because if you look at today, the GDP, right? The GDP, we contributed 23% to the world. Can we go back to the GDP, which is good? But GDP alone cannot cut it. If you take a car, for example, there are multiple dials in the car, right? So there's a speedometer, there's a tachometer, there is a temperature sensor. All these should be performing an appropriate levels for the car to perform very well. We can't just say that speed is the only measurement, right? If the temperature goes up, the engine heats up, it's going to stop. So similarly, there are 17 dials for the country to look at as we grow. So that's what the SDG goals. And this is where the interesting part comes up is that if you want to build a sustainable future, there's one of the 17 goals is about women empowerment, where in East Garo Hills, as I mentioned, there's already following matriarchal society, women is empowered for the last thousands of years. So Bharat is giving solution to the current problems, right? So this is what very, very intriguing about, how people are living across the country, which is creating, already they're doing fantastic job in providing a sustainable future. In the same village in East Garo Hills, we were staying, and morning I went for a walk and we saw that young children going around. We asked that it's a holiday, where are you going? They're saying that jungle cleaning. The village is beautiful, very clean, look like a resort, right? And the place I went, one of the house, there's a 70-year-old person. He surprised us. He's a tribal belt, but they're giving me a rice wine for us to taste in the morning, right? So that's a life, very simple life. And the thatch roof house, pretty much most of it is built by them. So this is where about the climate change comes. So today, we celebrate the carbon fixers. What is carbon fixers? Somebody is emitting carbon, right? And it's creating a hole. It is creating this greenhouse gases, what we call. It's putting a hole on ozone layer, which is increasing the climate in the earth, right? And somebody is fixing this emission. For example, electric vehicle is a popular one today, that everybody is saying that EV is the future and all that, which is, I also agree. I also have electric vehicle. But in India, that 80% of the power is coming from coal. So I'm not probably polluting Bangalore, but I'm polluting somewhere in Tuticorin or some other place where we have this thermal power plants. Yeah. But coming back to the electric car in US, Elon Musk is one of the very successful EV manufacturer. He makes $1.4 billion every year selling a carbon credit. So what is carbon credit? So as an electric vehicle does not emit, right? And he has built this factory as well with renewable energy. So he's net zero. So he's creating credit because he's not emitting carbon. The equivalent car is emitting carbon, but he's not emitting. So that means you can create a credit. So who is paying this $1.4 billion, right? So some of this company like Fiat and General Motors, who are not able to meet the emission standards in Europe, right? They have to pay the fine. They're not paying to the fine to the European Union. They're paying the fine to the Elon Musk. So this is the best thing happening in the world today, is doing good is getting celebrated, right? So the person who's doing good is getting incentivized by the person who's doing bad. So this is a really, really fantastic one. So that is what the line is about. If Elon Musk makes $1.4 billion, what about the person living in East Garo Hills in a very simple life? He has a fantastic system. We have a beautiful village, probably a clean oxygen, but we call them poor. Calculate his carbon footprint, calculate my carbon footprint and yours. Maybe somebody living in London, somebody living in New York, he is living in a very, very sustainable manner, right? If carbon is the new gold, who is rich, him or me or somebody living in New York? So this is about the paradigm of thinking. Is about when we chase the development, we are creating more problem on climate change and inequality. Here somebody is living in a simple life, and he is providing solution to how to build a sustainable future. But what we call him is a poor person. You should come out, you should go to some college, educate, and you go back to your village for 2 weeks for unwind, rewind, detox, all this jargon that we do. That's awesome, right? My daughter, for 11th standard excursion, she went to Himalayas, 2 weeks. No toilet, no electricity. They live in a tent for 2 weeks. We said, fantastic. This is modern development, right? But somebody lives there 365 days, we call them poor. So what kind of a development paradigm is it, right? This is what about we need to start thinking that Eastern ethos is all about celebrating simplicity. We are a land of Buddhas and Gandhis, but we are following this Wall Street's greed is good phenomena, right? So this is what about thinking, is that how this person have living a simple life in the East Garo Hills, providing a sustainable future. Because today all the countries still talks about GDP. US GDP is around $25 trillion. We are around 4. So almost 6 times more than India, US GDP is. But their per capita emission is 6 times more than India, right? If carbon is gold, who's rich? So this is about this sustainable future thought. The second about is around is how entrepreneurially we can solve. So now we saw the people living in East Garo Hill, they're very simple life, the needs are very, very less. They don't have this multiple furniture and all these things that you and I have in our house. So they are living very simple. They're not cutting the trees. We are the one cutting the trees. So now they need a livelihood as well. If there is an ailment in healthcare, if they need money, where we go? So this is what I saw in Manipur. So there is Elijah, who is our first person come to IIM Bangalore from his tribal belt, and he saw all the people in IIM. He wanted to take up a broad job and leave the country. But after seeing us in NSRCEL, he saw that, wow, all these entrepreneurs are solving amazing problem. He said, I want to go back and find a problem to solve in my village. So we advised him to identify a few producers. During this 2 years of MBA, he came with 23 produce that only Manipur knew. There's a wild apple. During the season, everybody eats the wild apple. Only 30% is consumed, 70% not even picked up. And that's what he did. So he put a cold storage. It was already there in the nearby village. Nobody was using. He collected the wild apple, put it in the cold storage, started releasing it during a non-season time. And he connected with the Indian Institute of Horticulture Research, developed a candy out of this, wild apple. Now he's selling the candy out. This one product, right? So he never took up for placement. He went back to his village. Now he's starting this venture. He's identifying other products. He found now plum, Santa Rosa plum. He's making nectar out of it. So this is a potential, right? There is a wisdom in every part of the world, every part of the villages. So if he can utilize the wisdom to bring some livelihood opportunities to them. So he went back to his village. His brother has gone back to his village. Now they're employing people. So there's livelihood is happening, right? Because if the livelihood is not there, then they're still in poverty. If there's healthcare expense, they're in trouble. Because in India, the number one reason people fall in poverty is healthcare expenses. So if we have some money taken care for a livelihood, and if there is any ailment, they can do that as well. So that's what happened in Jharkhand, right? Jharkhand, I visited this place called Buntu. It's around a few kilometers from Ranchi, and it's one of the top 10 extremist area in the country. People have to take permission, for me to go even visit that village. There I saw an amazing sound because though the tribal there in Buntu, they used to make lac. What is a lac? There's an insect eats the tree, the sap comes out. So that's your, lac. You melt it, people make bangles, ornaments. So that's what the tribal used to make back then. And they were selling lac. But the lac price was a problem, and nobody wears these ornaments today. So they are in poverty. So they become extremists. So a few kilometers from there is an institute, Indian Institute of Resin Research. So it's a 100-year-old institute. They've created a technology where this lac can be used in the pharma industry. This is what this Udyogini did. They went back to the institute and took the insect that eats the tree, kusum, palash, bale trees. They took the brood and put it back in the tree, told the tribal, educated the tribal that, okay, check for the price for this lac. If it's appropriate, call the customer and they will come and buy it, right? So they are now using in pharma industry. So repurposing existing knowledge into the modern way, right? So the person I met in that village, and he was having 1 lakh rupee in the bank, and he was just wearing a simple, towel across his waist. The need is very simple. I asked him, what do you do with the money you have 1 lakh rupee in the bank? And, if there is an ailment in my family, I can take my child to Ranchi, right? If I don't need to be waiting for the problem on healthcare. So this is about the sustainable future, simple life. And, every region has a wisdom. If that wisdom is providing some livelihood, I think they are providing a fantastic an example to that. This is across every state. I would have an example like this in Maharashtra, few hours drive from Bombay. There is a place called Omle. So we went to visit. We want to have a dinner at their village. With the Bombay traffic, we ended up reaching midnight, right? And the last few section of the village, there is only one small bridge where the two-wheelers can go. So we have to walk. And there, 12 o'clock, people are waiting. Very simple life. There's a 2-3 CFL lamps running with the solar power. And we stayed in the very simple house. The morning, I went out for a walk again. A lot of natural streams, waterfalls, beautiful village. They just monsoon ended. They have water, and the family, they're growing paddy, and they are harvesting and doing the post-harvesting activities around the paddy, right? So this is the beauty of it. But what is the challenge? When we're talking to Rajubai, right, the place where I stayed, Raju is saying that during monsoon we are good. We have enough, resources to provide agriculture thing. It's enough for our own food. Plus we sell outside some. But non-monsoon is where a problem. They have to migrate to Bombay. So what he does, he dives into the ocean and help the sand, trawlers to find a spot for them to mine sand. So today, if you look at scuba diving is popular among the rich people, right? They wear all these gears and jump 100 feet, 200 feet with the oxygen in the back. Here is Rajubai jumps without anything, right? If he loses a breath, he's lost. So that's the level of extreme poverty that they risk their life to make a few living. So this is what, IIT Bombay had created a technology that there's a stream going on, but there is they can't do the, agriculture. So they created a treadle pump. You just pedal and it pumps water, right? So that some of the, people are using that to now towards agriculture. So that even non-monsoon time, there's a small stream going on, they can fetch water and they can do a little bit of agriculture. So like this, I can go on giving examples across the country. They're very simple lives or the future of sustainability. And for all of us, right, what can we do? Because each one of us need to start looking at, according to the Harvard study, 70% of the greenhouse gases can be controlled if each one of us, everyone in the world, buy responsibly, right? What are we buying? Do we really need it? Do we need to probably reduce whatever we are buying? Can we reuse whatever we are buying? Can we recycle all these things? If you do that, 70% of the greenhouse gases will be controlled. So we also have an individual social responsibility. Today, we talk about corporate social responsibility. I also push each one of us to have individual social responsibility so that we will start looking at what are we doing and how are we damaging the earth. Then we start consuming, calculate the carbon footprint. There are a lot of carbon footprint calculators on the internet. Calculate how much carbon that you are emitting. Can we reduce to an extent so that the sustainable future is in our hands? Otherwise, the SDG goals UN has created, we're supposed to be achieved in 2030, right? It was supposed to be achieved in 2000. It used to be called Millennium Development Goals. 2000 came and went. We were nowhere closer. So we borrowed another 30 years. And, we are almost 5 more years to go. And I don't think we are anywhere close in achieving the SDG goals across the country. So that's the advantage the country like India has, right? Because developing countries, asking the developed countries, give me another 30, 40 years. I will be in the same level as you. Then we will start working on emission, right? Because the developing countries pull out millions of people out of poverty. But this is 30, 40 years too long. Earth may not be there, right? Because that is the reason, if you look at all these Hollywood movies, it's all about Interstellar or Tomorrow World. It's all about finding a moon near Jupiter, goes live there. Finding a water in Mars, and can we go live there? So all the rich guys are on Moon and Mars mission because they want to ditch the Earth and then end up in these planets. So this is where India has an opportunity, saying that can we build sustainable future? Because I was telling the Meghalaya chief minister around that time when I was visiting East Gaurav Hills in a conference, that they should charge oxygen tax. Right? They're preserving the forest. There's a beautiful, biodiversity, but they should be incentivized to preserving the future. Otherwise, they're going to look at the south. They said, okay, cut all the trees, probably build some factories. That's the only way to pull people out of poverty. So if we charge an oxygen tax, and if you provide carbon credit to people who are having a simple life, then we can sustainable future is possible, because I call them carbon preventers. Today we are celebrating carbon fixers, right? We are having a food very easily and throw the food waste, that somebody is managing the waste. We eat your biscuit packet or eat your chips and throw the packets out. It's end up in landfill. Somebody collects that and do a waste management. We call them, they are amazing because they're carbon fixers, which is needed as well, right? But what about carbon preventers, which we don't celebrate in the world? So this is about that. That's what I emphasize in my book, Back to Bharat, is about, can we celebrate carbon preventers so that they are continuing to have a simple life. And whenever you somebody living in a simple life, celebrate them. Today, we used to look down on them. Earlier, we used to celebrate in the Eastern ethos. Today, we look down on them because we are becoming extravagant on everything that we are consuming, about everything. Roti, kapda, makan. We need a basic house and basic shelter and food. So today, it's all about what kind of clothes I'm wearing, where I am living, what am I eating. So this is where the sustainability need to happen. Each one of us need to look at, what is my roti, kapda, makan. So what I'm wearing is a handloom. So today we have 9 million weavers in the country producing handloom. This is sustainable fashion. Even this is the thread, the yarn is made by hand. This is a khadi. That means that no energy is utilized in making this product. If Elon Musk makes $1 billion selling carbon credit, how about 9 million viewers in the country? So that's what one startup doing in Bangalore, Kosha.ai. So what they're doing, they're putting a device in every loom, right? And from there, it identify the geolocation. So if this shirt is made, this shirt is made in Visakhapatnam in one school, the school children are taught to make khadi yarn, right? And they made a fabric and they did a stitching of this shirt for me. It's a Bhagavatula Charitable Trust. So the children made this fabric. So calculate this carbon, right? If you put a device there, it'll tell you where this cloth is coming from. If it is Pochampalli, that has a GI tag, right? If there is a product coming from Kanjivaram or in Meghalaya, you know that it's coming from that place because this device will lock the geolocation. You take a phone and connect with the device, take a video, and then this Kosha is giving a QR code. You can weave the QR code along with the fabric. So you scan the QR code, it'll tell you who made it, where it's coming from, what is the GI tag. Now with the device on the loom, it's calculating every movement that lady is making and calculating, carbon. So compare that with the power loom product many of us are wearing, and then can we calculate the carbon? Can we give the carbon credit to them? So this is what about sustainable future is all about. Tikapada makan, right? Food, shelter, and what are we eating need to be there. Are you eating organic food? Are we wearing handloom fashion? Are you, living in a sustainable way? So this is what going to help for all of us to achieve the sustainable future. Otherwise, 2030 is not going to happen. We are going to borrow, and already there is many countries are talking about another 30 years. This is a very, very long way to go. I'll just stop here and see if you have any questions, or I can go a little more.
Fantastic, sir. Thank you so much for this overview where you have taken us around the country through your stories, those small anecdotes of people living in remote parts of the country, examples from various states, all put up a very compelling narrative of development paradigm that you're talking about. Amazing, sir. I think people, those who have read the book Back to Bharat, also is equally compelling. I have read that book, and amazing anecdotes and case study based discussion that you have adopted in the book is very, very interesting. The two things that you have talked about in your opening remarks is about going back to the ethos of our Eastern world, where we celebrate simplicity, living simply. This resonates with one of the campaigns run by Sonam Wangchuk very recently in Ladakh. He also talks about living simply and all. Probably, there are many examples out there who are espousing the cause of, simple living and thereby carbon fixing in their own manner. But it is very compelling when you compare it to what Elon Musk is actually gaining and winning in terms of $1.4 billion every year for what he's doing for EVs. But what about these men and women living in Eastern world who are actually living a world which is carbon fixing for us? And the second and most important paradigm you talked about is using local wisdom to generate livelihood. That's an amazing entrepreneurial way of looking at solving this big problem. I think stories after stories would come. I would like to save our time to hear more from you, sir. And before we jump into the first Q&A cluster, which is going to be started by Dr. Prasad, I want to acknowledge the fact that we are joined by various leaders from around the country. I appreciate their time on Independence Day, which is a holiday, but their concern for learning is much appreciated. Thank you and welcome all of you, sir. And now I request Dr. Prasad to start the cluster number one. I'll come back for second cluster where we open the mic for others also to ask direct questions. Over to you, Professor Prasad.
Thank you, Professor Rao. Thank you, sir, for introducing an immensely rich topic, a lot of tapestry that you have provided us to look at it in many different ways. You have pointed out to what I would call wicked problems, climate change and inequality, which all of us share on Mother Earth. And you've also brought in a lot of contextuality in the tapestry that you have woven about what this is all about. So let me start with a question which brings out that difference, and this is in the area of education. I read one of your stories about your visit to Attapadi, Palgad, Coimbatore, and you have noted in that about the kids of those people in Attapadi who have gone to school and then they've gone into another world and then they want to move into that world. When they come back, they have nothing to do for years. So if you take this you bring in that, contextuality. How do you see education in the context of this? I mean, it seems to be totally misplaced in that kind of a background, or maybe it needs to be set. So what are your thoughts about this very important aspect?
Yeah, I think the very interesting question, because Kerala is one of the developed state in the country. It's very interesting to see this place at a party where there's a completely a new world. And it's amazing to see this youngsters. Like that's where the other part in my book I mentioned, everywhere the villages are empty and the cities are overloaded, right? The many villages I go, there are very less number of youth are available because they're all leaving the place and looking for opportunity. So this is where the Attapadis, the scenario I see that few of these children who went out, studied, and they did, some of the people who are done well in studies and they'll get a job. But in India, if you don't get the chapa, you're all done, right? So I always say I'm a middle class and I passed 10th standard. Otherwise, my friends, I met some of them recently in my small town, and one of the friend is, driving an auto because he failed 10th standard. So this is about in India, the academy, if you don't have a chapa, if you failed academically, your kind of livelihood is in trouble. So this is what is happening to the children, right? So people who are advanced in education, they got a job and all, but people who could not cope up with this college education, and they are not able to take that forward. They back to the village and they hate what their parents have done because that put them in poverty. So, and they're just whiling away, right? They don't want to do what their parents were doing. At the same time, they hate what the urban lifestyle is. That's what today happening in Bangalore. There are 2 million people live in the slums. All the people are who lost livelihood in the rural India, right? Especially if you look at the non-monsoon times, we'll have a train load of North Karnataka people coming to Bangalore for livelihood. So this is what happening to these children. So this is what coming from this problem statement where I've seen many of these. And even during pandemic, it was a very interesting thing I put out saying that Bharat saying bye to India, because many of the people who came for looking for a prosperity, they start walking back to their villages. They thought that that village life may be better. So that is when it gave me an idea about when I came back from US, people said it's a reverse brain drain. And I said, don't call them immigrants back. They said they are also reverse brain drain. They left the village, they're back to the city, village, saying that, what is good in the city, what is bad in the city. Can we utilize them and rebuild the villages? So I was kind of giving this thought to the principal scientific advisor office. So we built this something called Kisan Mitra, because the youngster love technology. Technology does not mean phone alone, right? So there are few technology, there are 1,000 technologies developed in ICAR and IITs and CSR labs. We put in one platform. We started talking to these people through different languages. NSRCEL did in English, and we had people in Tamil Nadu did in Tamil. There is somebody in Telugu. All that languages we stream, where scientists came and talk about what their innovations are. There is one technology developed in IIT Bombay where sugarcane machine, right? You put a sugarcane this side, jaggery comes. 10 minutes, you can put the machine in a tractor and take it to the field. So this is what, that's what happened. This part of the technology, and then trained few youth in the village. So they told the professor that, we want to buy the machine. So we had the professor start a startup, and he sold the machine to this organization, which trained the youth. That youth was taking the machine to the, farmers for them to start creating jaggery, and the brand, one of the brand was buying the jaggery directly. So this is about value addition. This is what Gandhi was talking about, self-sustaining villages, right? You don't sell the sugarcane, you sell the jaggery. Then the economy of the value chain stays within the village. Otherwise, you get the price for the raw material. Then the processing happens somewhere, the economy moves out of the village. But now he sells the jaggery from the sugarcane to jaggery, the entire value chain stays within the village, which can provide better remuneration, better livelihood for them, right? So this is what we have done. So we have taken that to the next level. We're just launching something called RUTAG Smart Village Centers. Around 200 centers will be launched. NABARD is going to do that. And there's one center we launched in Mandura in near Delhi. So where we have some physical centers are there now. where the youth can take up this technology developed in IITs, which for rural India. And so youth can pick up the technology and women entrepreneurs can pick up the technology and build the livelihood there. So that is the solution, right? If I'm not good in academics, if I'm not good in studies, they should not feel that I'm left out in the economic growth. We just go back to the village. Similarly, there's another example of Happy Hands in Tamil Nadu. So there is an entrepreneur. I have an NGO in Tamil Nadu to promote rural entrepreneurship. We say no English, no PowerPoint. We don't care what degree you have, what you studied, and what caste, what family background, nothing. As long as you have a drive, we will provide support to build a venture. So Ashok Kannan, who runs his business called Happy Hands, he head moves, his hand moves, he's wheelchair bound, never went to school, but he's an Ayurveda expert, right? He was feeding herbals to the country chicken that many of people in villages have. He saw the yolk of the egg was an orange color. He sends his egg to Indian Institute of Science. A guy never went to school. He's sending his egg to Indian Institute of Science to say, what is in my egg? Why it is orange color? So result came out that it is 4 times more nutrient than other egg, ordinary egg. Orange color is because of the beta carotene, which is there in the carrot. So he put his, egg is 4 times more than ordinary egg. So natively through that, we supported him. Today, January, he was featured in Forbes magazine as a promising entrepreneur. So a guy never went to school. Now he found a co-founder in Bangalore, and his egg is most expensive egg in the country. So what happened now? He gives his herbals to the farmers, one-day chicken, and they feed to the chicken, they buy the eggs. So one person saw that from Chennai. He left his village. His father had 4 acres of land in Trichy. He now living in Chennai, working in some IT company. Heard about Ashok Kannan. He quit his job, came back to his village. So now he is growing chicken. He's making 4 times more money than what he was making as an IT employee, right? It's an young chap. I was there last month visiting his factory. So now he got some supported. Now he's building this free-range poultry model and one of the first in the country, right? And this he got certified humane. That means they're not torturing the chickens. So it's one of the 2 people certified in all of Asia. So this is a level of how a person ever went to school, given an opportunity, and he can take his idea forward. Now he's attracting an educated person to move back from Chennai to his village. In the village is a beautiful life he has because he makes more money and he enjoys his village life, maybe have breathing a better oxygen than the metro. So these are all some of the solution that we should be start looking at. Yeah.
Fantastic. I think, you have given something which acts like anti-gravity, considering that, there are so many forces which are, kind of pulling us into a non-sustainable pattern of production and consumption. And, so much of force that you need a lot of anti-gravity to get it to some sort of a solution. And you've given an excellent example there. Now, at this stage, I'd like to combine 2 questions which we have, and they're related to what you said. You're roughly drawing out an ecosystem of innovation, for a very contextual kind of an example. And at the same time, I can also see that, of course, it is also related to NSRCEL and the kind of work that you do there. So there are 2 parts to it. I mean, there are so many practices which are there already, some of which you mentioned in your initial remarks. And for a country like this and India, it is so immense that it first needs documentation. People need to know this kind of thing is available. So it needs to be reported. And if it is, how do you integrate it with the remaining part of the system? Where do you get in the rest of the ecosystem? Like you mentioned, a very interesting example in Jharkhand of a research institute where the lac was, kind of some use was mentioned, or that example in Mizoram where an IIM Bangalore student went back. So there was a tracing of a line, there was an ecosystem. So how do you, I mean, given that NSR cell is already doing it, how do you look at this from the point of view of both documentation, knowledge systems, as well as technology? You did give some examples of how technology was brought in, the AI one that you mentioned about putting machines in. So how do you bring in the knowledge systems and technology? Because these seem to be related to each other. I'm putting both of them together so that, this kind of thing can grow much faster. This anti-gravity can gather far more momentum. And therefore, get to an ecosystem of innovation at the grassroots level, maybe much more quickly than it otherwise would have.
Yeah. I think, yeah, there is, I'm very happy now. There is multiple levels, what I call firing on multiple cylinders that is happening now. This one is this Native Lead Foundation that we have in Tamil Nadu. And we've been doing this for almost 12 years now. Now, Tamil Nadu government pretty much taken over NGO. So my co-founder and CEO is running startup mission of Tamil Nadu now. So our mission is about no metros, small towns, provide opportunity to entrepreneurs. So I was very happy now what we are able to do in 10 years from government, Swaraj could do the like 1,000 times more. So that is one, it's already happening, places like Tirunelveli, I was there last month. There are 100 startups, there is a hub being supported in there. So there is no need for them to go migrate to Chennai. So wherever you are, you should have a livelihood. So that's one. The second part is about now I'm just focusing on rural ministry has multiple programs to train rural women entrepreneurs. We have now thousands of almost Karnataka alone, NRLM train around lakhs of women entrepreneurs. So we did a one program with NSRCEL. We have taken this is the first program in Kannada, right? So we've taken this women entrepreneur around 40,000. We shortlisted 280. They came to the campus. We did a 1-year incubation program. So that grassroots level as well, they go back and then start creating ventures in their own villages. And these women probably, not even had any proper education, right? But that is the point. So if you're not good in education, you should not worry that your life is done, right? There are opportunities for you to figure out. So that is number two. So this idea is now taken up. The NRLM is now working with multiple states. So IIM Kolkata is working on few states. NSRCEL did Karnataka. So that is taking up because many of these earlier NRLM trainers was done what I joke about is called Poppard, Pickle, and Petticoat. Now we are exposing them to the DST technology. So we are having more rural ministry working with Department of Science and Technology more and take this technology ideas to the women entrepreneur as well. So that is one part. The second is NSRCEL now started something called IQ, incubate the incubators, right? So this system, what we've developed last 20 plus years, can we, support others as well? We just first batch started. We just picked up the next level of IITs and IIMs. We picked up IIT Palakkad, IIM Trichy, IIM Jammu, right? Some of these places that we picked up, we are building the ecosystem for them in those regions. We are opening up the private institution as well for them to probably come and learn how we can build this ecosystem and so that they can take that forward, whatever our learning is possible. The last thing is about the book. That's why I wrote the book because it need to be documented. The book is pretty big. It's for 40 pages. It ended up after the publisher cut 200 pages, right? Because they said, who will read now 400 pages, cut it to 200 pages. I said, no. So this is not, I don't want to be a bestseller that you read in a plane and throw it out and nothing happens. It needs to have an action. So people who read is going to have a serious people. They're going to learn something. They're going to act on some of the things mentioned in the book. So I was very happy now Alliance University has taken up the book as one of the textbook for solving for Bharat is a course I'm teaching. So very interesting with the first batch, 60 students came in. So there is 80% on the field. They'll go visit some of these entrepreneurs on the field, no exams, only 20% in the classroom. And the exam, the pass fail is about at the end of the course, they have to present a business plan. Either they can start a venture or they need to do a thorough study about starting a venture on their own, right? So that is one. Now the second batch is starting with 60 people. Now, because of the interest in the school, the next year onwards, entire 12,000 students, this will become a mandatory course. So this one we are doing from the student side as well. We can do the same course will be launched in IIM Bangalore as well end of the year. So I'm going to expose our MBA students as well that what is social entrepreneurship is, what is impact investing, can we also start thinking. So like this, rural from women and from the government side, from the education side, there are multiple activities happening to just push the acceleration ahead. Yes.
Fantastic, sir. I think we are at about 7:17, though there are more questions. I'll hand it back to Professor Rao for the next cluster. If time permits, I'll come back. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Prasad. It is very interesting and also intriguing at the same time, looking at the vast canvas that we are supposed to address as part of this climate justice, poverty, inequality, eradication, and rural enterprise that we talked about so far. Of course, there is a clear advice for the institutions to play a big role. We'll come to that a little later. But before that, sir, if you were to build a Bharat Innovation Fellowship, what kind of people would you mainly like to attract and nurture?
Yeah, that's great. I think so. One would be is about we need to create awareness among people because all these things exist, right? All these people are doing activities, but that's not probably consumed in your Instagram reels, and people otherwise they just pick up some trending stuff. That's what they start looking at. So that is why the documentation, the course, all that is there. I've just launched one postdoc to create probably a template of development based on the book. We just opened that in Alliance University. If anybody want to come or done your PhD, want to a postdoc, and then create a framework out of this Back to Bharat book, that'll be one we can do. And also we've launched one more Vista program, a PhD program in Vista, what we call Vista. I've just addressed around a lot of PhD students in many private universities. And all of 80% of them are all just chapas, right? It's copy paste because I need the PhD to be the next pay scale to be called professor, all that stuff. So this is what I've told many private universities and Alliance. Now we've launched something called Vista, so where we said convert your PhD into venture. And it's also we're going to do multidisciplinary, right? So because in India we are very good in creating the IITs and IIMs and AIMS, but all are working in silos. Right? We all people always ask me, there's no Stanford in India because we don't have multiple people thinking is coming together. So the private universities has a potential. So I've told probably around 20, 30 private university chairmen about doing multidisciplinary programs. I think now the Alliance, we've launched this PhD. So where I'm telling the public policy student, don't go on the ground, report poverty and analyze next 3 years, eliminate poverty like Udyogini. So identify a herbal that can bring them a livelihood. Bring somebody from the chemistry department, some engineers who can understand what is in the herb that can bring in a product out of it. Bring a PhD from the business school. So all three of you solving one problem, work on next 3 years and convert into a venture, right? 3 PhDs, one venture created, we will provide the support. So we've launched this scholars program as well there. And I'll be happy if anybody want to start a fellowship program as well, where they can go around taking the trip of visiting all these 30 startups, right? And probably come back with the fellow program that they want to do. We are thinking in NSRCEL, we now created a Center of Excellence for Climate Change. We are going to create these climate fellows. So this is one of the thought we have is around these climate fellows. We are going to go on the field and understand this problem, come back with solutions. Then they want to create a venture, we can incubate them and support them. Yes.
Amazing, sir. Amazing. There are lots of opportunities in what you spelled out just now in terms of, the big push for not allowing the PhDs to rest in libraries, but I think it should be converted into a venture wherein we solve some problems. I think that's an amazing way of creating action out of research. The associated question, and as I expected this answer, the associated question is, you have in the opening remarks taken us around the country with lots of anecdotes and case studies, much like your book. ICFAI is present in most of the examples that you have given here in this opening remarks as well. For example, we are present in Meghalaya Tura. Apart from being present in Shillong, we have a campus there and our students learn various programs. We are in Mizoram, we are in Sikkim, Tripura, Nagaland. We are in Raipur, Ranchi, Himachal Pradesh, Dehradun. So many locations we are present. For an organization, for an institution with a large presence like this, would you like to advise and suggest us what are the immediate things that we can do which can enmesh with the objectives of climate justice and poverty eradication and also rural enterprise?
Yeah, that's the best thing on our private universities is about you have multiple disciplines, right? So one is about creating this multidisciplinary thought, people bringing people together. So Stanford has this program called biodesign. So an engineer designer sent to the Stanford hospital to pick one problem. and they had to solve, and so the kind of problem statement that comes out, the solution comes out is amazing. They did a similar on apes. So I've invested in one of those companies. This beautiful work came out. So one is on the experiential learning, right? Send them into the field. That's why I tell even our student IMB as well, go stand in our gate. You will see more about India than, reading 100 pages about the demography. There's a guy riding BMW to riding a BSA bicycle, right? So observe all that. Now you'll have the data about what is India is. So similarly, we are to push the students to the ground, to the field, to go experiential learning. So I'll be happy to advise some specific programs, fellowships, for them, and they also can maybe visit some of these entrepreneurs that I mentioned in the book, and then there'll be a learning that they can do on the field. So, the program now, IMB and Alliance, right now we are focusing on people visiting Bangalore startups mentioned in the book. But if you have campuses in across, then we can do pan-India as well. So IMB, we're thinking once we launch the first batch, the next batch, we may take them outside the Bangalore for them for a week, go live in, Meghalaya, talking to them, understand, or go to Jharkhand or Bihar, UP, or Kerala, or Tamil Nadu, whatever the place, right? So you can also probably create a program around that. Is about for your students in Meghalaya. How do we expose them into problem solving locally? Otherwise, people think nothing will happen in my town. So that's what we created Native Lead Foundation, is that whether you're in Madurai or Tiruchi or Erode, Karur, tier 5, tier 6 towns, don't feel that nothing can be done. So our model of Native Lead Foundation is about local problem, local solution, local investors as well. So today, the Tiruchi example on egg I gave, investors from Tiruchi and Madurai supported these entrepreneurs. Because every pocket has a wealth. That's what in my Ranchi example as well. On the way back from Buntu to Ranchi, in Ranchi, I saw an Audi showroom. So that's where the idea for Native Lead came out. I said, in 35, 40 kilometers, there is somebody living in extreme poverty. Here, somebody riding an Audi car. So there is a wealth in every pockets of the country. Can we plow the wealth back? That's what Native Lead idea is about. You support your own region, investing in entrepreneur there. So when you invest, it is not a donation. You're part of this venture creation. So when that venture scales and it creates employment, you're also part of the thing. So we can do something around that as well. The Native Lead has been replicated in Kerala now. So some of the places where you are, and we can try to see ecosystem that we could create where students are also involved as part of their program, part of their course, part of their project. Can they go on the ground, do some solving? That's what Solving for Bharat is the course I'm calling it. We can run a course on that as well. Yeah.
Fantastic, sir. That will be directly useful for us given the locations in which we are present and our objective of providing some kind of a structured learning which otherwise was missing there. That's the reason why we established in those remote locations maybe 15 years back. But your response has encouraged me to even come back and talk to you at NRSL.
Yes.
I'll come and meet you, sir, and then
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful. So there is one adjacency to this. Before I ask this question, I request the members in the audience to raise their hands so that we'll open the mic for you as well. You can ask direct questions to sir on this topic. So my question, meanwhile, is, sir, the adjacency is, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a bias with respect to rural startups as far as our funding ecosystem is concerned. So that's what I believe. So if that belief is true and existing, how we can change the narrative, how we can shift the narrative towards some kind of useful results.
Yeah, that's the reason for I created Native Lead Foundation, where we said, if I pick up an entrepreneur like Shakti, he's the first entrepreneur who was second year in college in Madurai, where we funded him. He wanted to create a rainwater harvesting system for Madurai, right? So when we funded him, he's from a humble background, and his father is a fruit seller. He puts his fruits on the head and sell. And this is what surprised a lot of the people, is that this guy have no idea about venture and how are we supporting. So that's the philosophy about, if we take Shakti, and he can decipher 1,000-year-old poem in Tamil, but you put him in Chennai or Bangalore, people call him that he have a communication problem. He can't speak a word of English. So that's a problem in India, right? If you speak your own language, you are in trouble. And so this is what we want to eliminate. So who can support them better? People who understand him better is from his own place. That's what we had people in Madurai invested in his venture, right? When I was second year in college, 10 years back, we gave like 10 lakhs that go start this company, right? And that created, sent a message to people as well that don't need to worry about what is your background, what is your degree, what you studied, what is your family, and nothing. As long as you have a drive, there are people to support. And who supported them? People who are successful people in Madurai. The TVS billion-dollar company was built from Madurai, right? There are a lot of successful people in Madurai. So we created a system to bring them back to invest in these places. So this is what that we need to create is about if we take them out of somebody from Meghalaya and say come to Bangalore and pitch, it's not going to happen, right? And if they come and do, that's awesome. Otherwise, the people will say that it's communication problem because many of the investors don't want to leave metros. So we have to build a completely different system. That's why we did the Native Lead Foundation. Now the government has taken over. Government has put together a fund now for inclusive fund. Now I'm in the committee, so we have invested in the Satyamangalam forest where the tribals are living, and now they're removing this one of the invasive product called this bush called lantana, and it's killing the local diversity. So now what the tribals are cutting this and they're creating a briquette. It is on the hills. They sell the briquettes down, right? So now we are now helping them to create a biochar out of it so that it can be a carbon credit as well. So now government came forward with the 100 crore fund to support them, right? So around 20, 30 of these entrepreneurs have been supported. Where we teach them about building a profitable businesses. Don't just rely on the VC model, which is about you keep on growing, you have a problem, loss, and to cover the loss, you have to keep on raising money, which is not going to help India, right? Because we don't have that much money available. We have 1.5 lakh startups. Hardly around 60 billion is available in investment. 90% are coming from overseas. So, but whereas we can motivate more and more of the local HNIs to invest, there's the money in there, it's going to gold and real estate. That's what natively we have done. I'm very happy that 240 investors are in Tamil Nadu now investing in local entrepreneurs. Now we've started even a reality show in Tamil that's in Star TV. It's coming out. So our investors coming on the TV show and investing into this humble entrepreneur who are all speaking their native languages. Like this, we need multiple support system that we need to build to support people wherever they are. So no need to migrate, no need to get out of your place. Wherever you are, you can be successful. You look around every part of the country, there are successful people. So they are the people. That's why in Madurai, our chapter meeting, I'll tell that no picture of Steve Jobs and Bunzels. We celebrate the local entrepreneur who 10th file, who's running a 300 crore company sitting in Madurai. We celebrate him. So then people will connect. Right? If we put a Steve Jobs, every startup office I go, I see a Steve Jobs picture. I tell them that then everybody will think I need to go to Harvard and drop out to become a Steve Jobs. But there is a VV Grip, he's running a few 100 crore company and making a belt that's used in all this appliance. He says every appliance in the whole country uses my product. He's just a 10th person, a few 100 crores. So when he comes and talk to the youngsters and the student, he'll say, wow, this much happening in my own town.
Correct.
That's what we need to do in every part of the country, wherever you are operating. Celebrate the local entrepreneurs, right? Don't always look up few guys selling Idli t-shirt in Bangalore or someone building computers from US. Building $1 billion company in US is not big thing. But Amul is a $5 billion company in Anand from India. So we have to celebrate those stories. Yeah.
Amazing, sir. It's very, very encouraging again to talk about local problems, local solutions, and local investment. I think that's the model that you are propagating. Very good, sir. As I said, we'll definitely get in touch with you to take it forward. I see a great room for collaboration here. I'll request you to answer this question from Dr. Sagar, sir. Dr. Sagar, please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yes,
yeah, I'm Sagar, sir. No, currently I'm working at ICFAI Business School, Hyderabad campus as finance faculty, sir. No, by attending your sessions or interactive session, so I'm able to recollect my 2012 learning from Professor Anil Gupta, who's retired from IIM
yeah, he's a
Ahmedabad.
very good friend. Yes.
Yes, sir. He's a Padma Shri. and where we sat his sessions around 7 to 8 sessions at IIMB when I was pursuing my FDB program.
Yeah.
Sir created a network called as a Honeybee network.
I know, Anil very
Yes,
well.
sir.
Yeah.
Sir, is there any kind of network that you operate, sir, so that we can educate at least our students in the campus? So because sir, we have at the Hyderabad campus, we have the students from all over the country, including some of the UTs also. But
Yeah.
I don't think most of the students knows the fruits which they have in and around the campus.
True.
So the one thing, sir, outside the campus, sir, even Sudhakar sir and Prasad sir might be knowing this. Outside the campus, outside our Hyderabad campus, there are some trees which gives us black almonds. So
Yeah, the
no
wild
one
one. Yeah,
knows.
yeah.
Yes, sir, no one knows. But now in the market, now the price of that black almonds is almost 2,500 a kg.
Mm.
And these trees, we can find even in every government school in the Andhra Pradesh and Telangana states
Yeah.
also.
We used to fight when we were growing up in schools.
Yes,
Break
yes,
there
sir.
and eat those almonds. Yeah,
Even from my childhood, I've been observing that whenever I ask anyone, so no one knows
yeah.
that fruit.
Yeah.
So
So
will
that's
there be
what
any?
about this pride, we need to give the pride
Yes,
about these things, simple life,
yes,
picking up this. And that's why I wrote the book. So this is
yes,
where this many of these colleges should, probably have this and read it. I'm talking to many of these colleges about the book. It's all going
yes,
to
sir.
the library and it becoming textbook for people to learn. And so that's what, have them read.
Yes, yes, sir.
It's not a theory. It's all practical. It's all happening out there. Nothing I've
Yes,
written which is a theory. So
sir.
this is that excites them about no excuses. That's why I wrote the book,
Yes, sir.
that no excuses. Any excuse you have, there is an example of a person like you solving a problem. Whether you are one of my investment is entrepreneur 75-year-old, right? He's
Yes,
running one of the best company in Bangalore. So age no bar. I've invested in 19-year-old, I've invested in 75-year-old, right? And women, entrepreneur, educate person with PhD, person with no schooling. So all lives of people are solving problems. So whoever you are, there are student entrepreneur examples are there. So whoever you are, you should be able to do this. So that is why the book is written. I think you can probably encourage people to read some portion.
sure.
And some of the schools, they have the Sunday reading. I was attending recently. There's this 100, 200 children every Sunday from across the country spend like half a day reading a book, and they were reading my book and I was attending few of their session. So like this, you have to encourage. That's why I've documented all in the book, so that there's no excuse for anyone. If you have a chance, just pick up a chapter and read and see what can I do. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
And Anil Gupta has done a beautiful job. Go to
Yes,
Honeybee Network. There are
even today.
2 lakh ideas, sir, in his platform. So
Yes,
people can
yes,
take up that and help those rural entrepreneurs as well, those
yes,
grassroots entrepreneur. Also, this Kisan Mitra platform I mentioned, it's called manthan.gov.in. If you go, there are a lot of these
oh,
technologies are available there as well. We are documenting it. Now we are making it a physical centers now. I'm in Delhi Monday meeting PSA. So, we've just NABARD is picking up 200 of those centers. So we're going to have a physical center talking about these technologies. Yeah.
okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the info.
Thank you, sir. That's an amazingly useful response to someone who is looking for networks and options to actually harvest where these ideas and technologies are put together. But more importantly, of course, the time is out as far as this conversation is concerned. But one for the road I will ask nevertheless is you have invested yourself in 25 plus startups which are having a social impact focus. What makes you say yes to a particular pitch or a venture that comes your way? What you go by before investing, sir?
Yeah, so the entrepreneur is the important one, right? So we need to have the drive that everything else is irrelevant. As I mentioned, whether you're a student or a school dropout or a 75-year-old, doesn't matter. As long as you have the drive that you can take the vision forward. So the entrepreneur is the number one. The second is about whether he has a scalable idea, right? The idea that he has, it should grow. So that then only as an investor, it'll be profitable for the investor. So only the two things: entrepreneur ability and scalable thought idea. Yeah.
Fantastic, sir. Ability of the entrepreneur and the scalability of the thought. These are the two defining factors for you as a personal investor to look at social impact focus ventures that come your way.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a template for us also to learn and read this book, which is very, very enjoyable in reading because of the anecdotes and the case studies that you have put in. Thank you so much for your time, energy, and expertise in helping us look at some of these big ideas back in our own backyard, in the sense that, in within Bharat, we can look at solutions that we can actually address and meet up the challenges, the global challenges that we have in terms of climate justice or in terms of inequality, poverty. And through rural enterprise, we can actually solve these issues. Amazing, sir. We have learned quite a bit. We will do a summary of this session and share with you before we upload the summary. We have a video as well as a text summary coming to you. And we'll request collaboration. We'll request your inputs. I will come and meet you personally at NSRCEL.
Yeah.
And we'll take it forward. Ladies and gentlemen, please go and read this book, Back to Bharat. It's available. It's a good book. It is bulky in the beginning. The moment you look at the number of pages, probably it is voluminous. But then within no time, you'll be able to finish, given the storytelling, given the anecdote-based narrative that's available there. We can learn a lot. We continue to learn a lot starting from today, August 15th, and continue to come back to our sessions next week as well. On 22nd of August at 6:30 p.m., we'll have one more leader helping us uncover many things and helping us see new ideas and new insights. Till then, have a great weekend and a good night. Thank you all.